How does the brain work? There's no centre to the brain. There's no little man sitting in the middle or little woman sitting in the middle guiding the whole process. There are what are called agencies. So even when you make a decision, or you think you're ratiocinating and making a decision, what's actually going on in your head is lots and lots of different possibilities are all running through little circuits in your head, and something comes out at the end which you believe is what you think or what you've decided. So there's this constant struggle between all kinds of different quasi-independent agencies inside your head. This part of this project, as I understand it, is that coming into it should be a bit like walking into somebody's head. And there are all these conflicting things going on all the time, lots of activity, lots of different lines being followed, not coming to any definite conclusion yet, because the brain is constantly firing, constantly being stimulated by new things, which fires more neurons and your synapses are going crazy. So this, with all the lights and with all the sound, and with also no coherent narrative center to it, that's how I envisage this to a certain extent. It should be an experience, as if you're walking into this active brain which is trying to cope, and it's all a bit psychedelic really, because it would be if you were able to get in there.
We are focusing on our memories. The memories which have a very special structure, they are not quite clear, especially when we go to the past, when we make a reference to the past, and we are not exactly sure whether things happen like they happened, and this is quite natural processing of our brain. We folding and unfolding our memories toward things that we are not sure whether they happened or not. And this kind of illusions, fictions, and mixed with different form of realities, it's one of the issue.
Real space, real sound, real time. The one thing that recording can't deliver, and the one thing technology can't deliver, is what happens when you get a certain number of people into a particular space at a certain time with everybody in a particular frame of mind, and then you have to produce something using all of these conditions. In other words, where you are, what you're doing is that you're sacralizing time. You're creating shared time, so that everybody that's in the experience, all their experiences lock together. It's a bit like the function of dance in primitive societies, and even in quite late societies, is that everybody's doing the same thing together at the same time, or choral singing. So that interests me a lot. What the residue that's left when you get rid of everything else, which is purely human, which is about human communication.
You know, in this very important time of civilization development, we believe that the technology helps us as we wish, but practically sometimes we are in a trap. So we are collecting more and more devices, and in certain extent we are dependent to the technology, and sometimes we are dependent too much. So that's quite important to know exactly what we need and how the technology should be used.
We are now really quite miserable as human beings, and we are under immense pressure from the technology that we've invented, which is changing us. And some people are resisting that change, and some people are not resisting that change. But the fact is that everybody is born into a situation which they have to deal with. We've been born into a still industrial but approaching post-industrial world, which is full of all kinds of evils that we have somehow to deal with. And if you're fighting people who have, highly sophisticated, electronically controlled weaponry, and it's no use throwing stones at them. So it's necessary for people and necessary for artists, if they want to actually make their art about the world that they're really living in, to take the elements of that world and try to bend it to their will.
On a certain moment we have a very beautiful arrangement between low and high technology, and I like very much to go to the low level, to use devices which are limited and they are not really very sophisticated.
So in this respect, art doesn't help or hinder. I mean, technology doesn't help or hinder art. It's a necessary part of the discursive process. The problem for artists is to figure out how to use the technology and not be used by the technology.
Well, there are different devices, several wireless technologies. The device which I keep in my hand is just a mobile phone. And in fact, we have several commercially available programs, applications, apps, what we call it. And you can use them really in a very simple way, like by shaking a mobile, you can stop, you can capture, and that's quite interesting. Sometimes you don't hear anything. So that's one. Another one, I have many acoustic instruments, many instruments coming from the different culture. This is the Aztec death. Then we have many devices like the device for massage. I can make a massage during the concert by myself, but I can also use it for as a source of electromagnetic vibration. During the show, I'm using the device called LOM. And when I get the cable, then device capture natural noises which comes from my computer. Instead of using it in a traditional way, I produce noises. Even my mobile phone is full of noises. When I go up with the this is one of my favorite instruments. It's called tablet. Touching tablet, because you can touch it, you know? You can touch here the screen. In fact, this is like a cartoon plastic device. In fact, I didn't show the most important element of the performance, so the brain monitor. The brain monitor needs some calibration, so yeah, bye-bye. So perhaps I won't be able quite fast to because usually when you wear this, you need to calibrate. So at the moment I'm using blink as a first test. When I blink, I change the raw data in a way that's low and high. So when I'm talking, I send some signal. When I stop talking,
very simple. drum kit, like any drum kit. Think of the drum kit as a guitar, acoustic guitar. When you put pickups on an acoustic guitar and have a solid body, you have an electric guitar. Electric guitar is a completely different instrument because it's the way an acoustic guitar makes a sound is by resonating inside a hollow wooden body. And the way a drum makes a sound is by resonating inside a hollow wooden body. When electric guitar makes a sound is by turning the vibration of the strings into an electrical information and sending it into an amplifier. The way I make a sound is by doing exactly the same thing. So every drum, every cymbal has a little, one of these microphones that you can't see because it's concealed. And these things also, so there's 16 channels of information coming into this mixer. And like a guitar, you don't have to send the signal directly to the amplifier, which just makes it louder. This is a bit boring. You can send the signal to all kinds of processors. These are all guitar pedals and processors. That means that I have, this is like Jimi Hendrix now for drums. So I have electric processing control over what I actually play. So there are no samples, there's nothing coming from outside. I'm simply using the sounds that these instruments really make, so I have total control over them, and then running them through all this stuff, and all this stuff modifies the sound. So it's still an instrument. I haven't replaced parts of my instrument with electronics. The electronics are sitting on top of the instrument. And then I can do almost, with electrical processing, you can do almost anything. So I have a lot of power here to change the sounds. And I use old, mostly analog equipment because the modern stuff is too complicated, it does too many things, it gives you too much choice, and it controls what you do. The more sophisticated the equipment, actually, the more you have to do what the equipment wants. This old, simple stuff, got a few knobs to turn, it doesn't do a lot of things. It's the level I like to work on, where I feel that it's simple enough that I can actually control it. And that's it, really. I mean, there are the drums, and there are things like, an egg slicer for cutting eggs, and these are just, I don't know what that is supposed to be. I don't like to think. And, toothbrush, fire bell, polystyrene. Sounds very nice when you bow it, and when you amplify it and run it through all the things. And that's it. Then I just have to play my instrument. So really, my job here is just to design an instrument. So I've built an instrument. That's it. And these are just acoustic things, which again, no processing, but it's all about how close you are. This sounds like nothing, but it sounds like something when it's close to the...
My part of this project is managing the space of the sound. So every sound they are producing is going through my equipment, and I'm making different spatial alterations. I'm using few models of space, and finally it's going directly to the loudspeakers.
I created like a whole set for this event, starting from projectors, starting from mapping, finishing on lasers, free lasers, and yeah, there is actually quite concept like this lasers in the middle and the laser in the front. They creating a special fluid and special atmosphere with fog and and this is the symbol of the neurons. So mostly we are basically we are working on neurons, on brain activity. So my idea was to fulfill this stage, fulfill this space with lights, is like to create a big neurons which are reactable on the brain waves. So live visuals is like they are created online. They are moving to the things that we are doing. For example, this brain structure, or moving with telephone or speaking. And this robot can explain you a bit more.